What's going on, YouTubers? Elric here at Tech of Tomorrow to bring you guys a latest product release from the people at Swiftech. I'm with their chairman, Gabe Rushan, and today we're going to show you a brand new product. Now, this is the first concealed or enclosed liquid cooling kit that you can actually take apart and add more parts to. So we're going to show you like a full demo and all kinds of really cool stuff, showing you it against the competitor and in other systems. So here's Mr. Rushan. I'm going to turn the table over to him and he's going to introduce this new product to you folks.
Hello guys. Well, what I'm going to show you today, and this is essentially our main campaign, we are going to show you a system that bridges the gap between current all-in-one systems,
Closed loop,
and full-on custom loops. So remember that, because this is our theme today: bridge the gap between all-in-one and closed loops, because the system can be used by both novices and by custom DIY users.
and the price is actually pretty well, right? This thing's coming to market at what, $129?
$139.95.
$139.95, and you can actually take it and add your components to it. So unlike having one of the old school ones, you can take this, add your video card, add extra components on it, refill the unit, and continue going. And actually, once the unit is sealed, it's supposed to last for about 2 years. So that's not bad. Three years. Okay, so they've extended the life more, and excuse me, faux pas on that. So now we're gonna go over, folks, we're gonna show you some systems and show you this product against the competitor. So let's go across the room and begin the demonstration.
All right. So here you have it, Doc. That's the new H220 CPU cooler from Swiftech. Now, what you see here is exactly what you get. In other words, it comes exactly like this. Pre-filled with the coolant. All you have to do is the fans, as you can see, are already pre-installed. Even the fans, which you don't get in other all-in-one coolers, you have to assemble the fans, for example. All you have to do is attach it to the top of your case or to your front panel if you have access, if you have a case that allows this. Connect the 4 screws for the CPU, and you're in business. So installation on this is truly plug and play. The plug and play portion of it, connections, you just connect your CPU cooler to this little PWM splitter. All that system is PWM controlled. Connect your 2 fans to this to the motherboard, and the entire unit is controlled by the motherboard. So there is no need for extra software. Essentially, put the settings in the BIOS, computer does the rest. And if you want more fine-tuning, use the motherboard supplied software, such as it comes with every major motherboard manufacturer: ASUS, MSI, Gigabyte, and forgive me if I forget someone. Okay. Now, you may have heard about month and a half ago, we released the H220 Elite CPU cooler, and it comes with a dual 120mm radiator and the famous Apogee Drive 2 CPU cooler, which has essentially that MCP35X pump, right? Now that kit sells for $239 at retail. In contrast, the Swiftech kit sells for $139 at retail. How is that possible? Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the radiator first. Essentially, there is no difference between these 2 radiators. The core is exactly the same. It's the same 14 FPI fin count. All we did was reduce the length a little bit. So in other words, we reduced the size of the reservoir, and we installed swivel fittings here. Altogether, we're saving a few millimeters, you can see, compared to the original MCR220. Both are copper core radiators. What else did we do? Well, compared to this guy, we thought a lot about the novice users, and here we designed the side channels so that in case you want to use a longer screw, you're not going to poke the channels and damage your radiator. It's a small detail, but it's important because we had more than one users who, with these earlier generations, actually destroyed the radiator by using off-the-market or aftermarket screws by mistake. Very nice swivels also that allow you to orient the product pretty much anywhere you want. So far, what do we see? Really no difference in terms of the radiator. Now let's talk about the fans. Well, the fans are the same. They are the Helix 120 millimeter PWM fans. They're the same fans that came with the Elite kit. So far, no difference. Now, let's talk about the CPU cooler itself, because this is really where the difference comes in play. In the Apogee Drive 2, it is no secret that we have been using an OEM pump that we do not manufacture. That pump is, as many of you know, made by Lang. It's marketed under the Swiftech brand, and we have been doing this for over 10 years now, but it's still not a pump that we actually manufacture ourselves. Whereas with the H220 cooler, okay, we manufacture this product entirely ourselves. 3 years ago, I decided that I wanted to get into the manufacturing, into the electric motor manufacturing business, and we hired the people and we invested into equipment so that we could actually get the best possible pricing and best possible cost for a pump, and it took us 3 years to develop it. Now, we developed the product with our initial goals, and they still are current goals, to have a very high performance product. In other words, we could have made a very low power pump, price oriented, cost oriented, but we didn't. We wanted for this product to bridge the gap between all-in-one coolers and custom coolers. And the only way to bridge that gap is to use a pump that has enough power to drive additional devices in your loop. In other words, that pump is capable to accommodate 1, 2 graphics card, liquid-cooled graphics cards, up to 2 or 3 radiators, like I'll show you in the next few minutes. All right. So we're capable of driving a multiple number of devices thanks to the power of that pump. For reference, that pump is a 6 watts pump, whereas the pumps offered by the competition are about 1.2 watts, if I'm not mistaken. So it is 5 times more powerful. And we also designed the pump to be extremely quiet, and we also designed it for a very high shelf life. For reference again, the shelf life on the MCP35X, what is called the MTBF, which is mean time between failure, is 50,000 hours. The shelf life on this product is 60,000 hours. 60,000 hours. So it is a high reliability pump, forgive me. Okay? Every detail in this product has been considered, thought of very carefully to satisfy novice users, but also to satisfy custom users and everything in between. So now assume you're a novice user, you install that product. A year down the line, you want to buy a graphics card, liquid-cooled graphics card or something like this. You want to add a radiator for whatever reason. What do? All you do is loosen that screw here on that clamp, pull out that clamp, take the tube out, and that's it. You connect that tube to your graphics card or another tube, Put another piece here, link the two, you're done. And here is the fill port where you can actually empty or refill your liquid cooling loop, okay, just by loosening that cap here, filling it up with fluid, okay. And we'll have on our website a full installation guide, not installation, but maintenance guide, probably videotaped also, that will show novice users and other users how to do this in details. But it's very, very, very simple. Now, what else comes with the product? In terms of mounting systems, just about everything. Every desktop processor, Intel 775, 1155, 56, 1366 comes with that backplate. Now, 2011, okay, and also all AMD, AM2, AM3, FM1, FM2, etc. Processors comes with a bracket. All you have to do is remove that screw, screw the bracket on, you're done. It's a 2 minutes operation. So everything has been thought of to make it very easy for just about every user. Okay. One last detail that I want to show you. If you take a look, those of you guys who know the APD, the Apogee Drive 2, which is quite famous for being a very high performance product, this is the same base plate, the same configuration. It is exactly the same. So we use the same form factor, okay, as the famous Apogee Drive 2. The only difference is the pump. Now, let's move on to the second part of this demonstration, where we are actually going to show the unit in operations, live operations, with several systems that we put together here. So here you are, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, where we've set up 4 complete systems in operations to demonstrate both the ability of our cooler towards the competition and the ability of our cooler for custom loops, custom operations. So let me tell you about these 4 systems. Number 1, there are 4 identical cases, and this is the Nanoxia DS1 case, and we have chosen this case, so thank you to Nanoxia for sponsoring this. We've chosen this case specifically because of the German engineering and the fact that it is a very quiet case. It is all padded, so we wanted, during our demonstration, to be able to demonstrate silent operations, and we find this case particularly appropriate for this kind of demo, okay? So, 4 Nanoxia cases. The next sponsor is ASUS, and thank you ASUS for providing 4 Maximus 5 motherboards, which is that motherboard that has that beautiful little VR and chipset cooler that can be used with air, or that can also be used for water cooling. And so that is the reason why we chose it, in addition to the fact that these boards offer a tremendous amount of tweakability and stability. Our third sponsor in this roundup was Kingston, and we want to thank the people at Kingston for providing the memory and for providing the HyperX memory and the HyperX SSDs. Okay, and our fourth sponsor in this build is Coolmaster. Thank you, Coolmaster, for providing 4 of their latest 1300 watt power supplies. And the reason why we chose them is because they are also extremely quiet and very powerful. Power that we needed for our SLI setup here, which is our final sponsor, our partners at EVGA. Thank you, EVGA, for providing 2 GTX 680 hydrocopper, as well as 3 GTX 660 Ti's that are on air. So these 3 systems are CPU cooling only, and the graphics are air cooling. The last system is CPU and graphics and chipset liquid cooled. Now, what about the CPU cooling? The first system is Thermaltake Water 2.0. The second system is a Corsair H100i. And the third system is the Swiftech H220. Now, conditions of this test. We want to be able to read the temperatures and be able to see approximately what temperature differences are. Oh, I forgot about the CPU, sorry. Core i7, 3770, okay, overclocked at 4.6 gigahertz. Intel processor, obviously, okay? All these machines are overclocked by the push of a button thanks to the ASUS software. We did not tweak the voltage or anything like this. Just push the button, 4.6 gigs, all four of them, so that we are on equal ground with respect to the thermal load. Okay? So, Thermaltake, Corsair, H220. Now, we placed load on each one of these machines using CPU burn, 8 instances, forgive me, of CPU burn. And every one of these machines is running at 1400 RPMs fan speed. The Thermaltake, 1400 RPM, is the lowest fan speed that you can get on silent mode. The maximum speed on the Thermaltake unit is 2200 RPMs. On the Corsair unit, also the minimum speed is in their quiet mode at about 1400 RPM, except the higher speed is 2700 RPMs. In contrast, the Swiftech unit, lowest speed is 800 RPM, and the highest speed of the fan is 1800 RPMs. For this demonstration, this step of the demo, we run all 4 systems at 1400. Now, let's move over to the temperature controller here. Okay, so here we have our temperature controller that summarizes the CPU temperature of all 4 of these systems. And we can see here that the Swiftech H220, we measure a 10 minutes average core temperature, okay? 10 minutes, it means that it's been averaging the temperature of the cores for the past 10 minutes. So, excuse me, you see the Swiftech H220 at 77.5, okay? Then you see the Thermaltake Water 2.0 at 78.2. You see the Corsair H100i at 81, and you see the Swiftech H220 plus the 2 GTX 680s and the chipset cooling running at 82 degrees. And what we observe is a 5 degrees difference approximately between the Swiftech H220 just cooling the CPU and the Swiftech H220 cooling CPU and graphics, 2 GTX 680s and the VR cooler. So here you go, here you have it. That's the type of performance that you can expect from these units compared to other units available on the market. Now, this is the next step of our demonstration here, and in this step, what we are going to do is have you listen to the maximum noise level of each unit. So right now we are looking at the H220, and we have tuned the fans and the pump up to their maximum speed, respectively 1800 RPMs for the fans and 3000 RPMs for the pump. And I'm going now to be quiet and let you listen to what it sounds like at maximum speed. So let's move over to the Corsair H100i here. And now what we're going to do, we can turn it on at full speed. And let's go ahead and do that so that we can hear the sound level. I think we had enough of the noise levels, so let's now move onto the thermal take unit and listen to the. By the way, these fans were running at 2700 RPMs, and that's the reason why they are fairly noisier than the other fans in this roundup. Okay. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put the thermal take unit at its maximum noise level, maximum speed of 2200 RPM. Okay, so I think we have a good idea now of what the speed of these respective systems is at when running at maximum noise level. And the next step is in our demonstration is going to be at running in silent mode. Now, earlier in that presentation, we already know that at 1400 RPMs, both the Corsair and the thermal take unit were already at their minimum noise level, so I don't think there is a point to redo that. So the last step of this demo is going to be running our Swiftech H220 in silent mode. So let's go ahead and do that. Now here you have it, the H220 running in silent mode. We do have a little bit of ambient noise in that hotel, maybe some background air conditioning, but I'm going to be quiet now, and maybe you can try to get as close as you can from the unit and see if you can hear it. But we do advertise that this product is inaudible as installed, and when you're sitting a foot away from it. Go ahead and try to pick up some noise. All right.
That is quite good.
Now the next part of this demo, I want to show the capabilities of this system to become a full-on custom liquid cooling. So we've seen so far CPU cooling, we've seen the thermals, they're pretty good. We've seen the noise, or we've heard, or not heard in some cases, the noise. Now, how about the guy who starts up with this system and wants to upgrade? So here, we are showing an H220, which is cooling the VRs and which is cooling two GTX 680s. And let me open up that case so that you can see that in more details. So you can see here how the radiator is going to the water block from the ASUS Maximus 5 out of the water block, out of that water block into the CPU cooler. Then the CPU cooler goes to the VGA 680, the first one, and then the second one, and then back to the radiator. So with a single H220, we are actually cooling two high-end graphics card, water-cooled graphics cards. Now the system is running right now, and as you can hear, it's running very quiet. Now, temperature-wise, running Furmark, which, as everybody knows, is the most intensive testing program, somewhat out of the real world. But essentially, what we've been seeing running Furmark is temperatures on these two cards at max level, about 60 degrees C. All that cooled with that H220 and an overclock processor at 4.6 gigs. So it is fairly reasonable, and it runs very stably. And in the last portion of this presentation, let me lead you to the crown of this presentation, the full custom loop as is built by many enthusiast users. And let me show you what we've got. Here we have the Cooler Master Stormtrooper. Thank you, Cooler Master, for providing this case for this demonstration, as well as the Cooler Master 1300 watts power supply. The motherboard is an MSI, and we have two Radeon's HD 7900s cooled by our Komodo HD 7900 series. The motherboard is the processor is an Intel socket 2011 overclocked to 4.5 gigs. And thank you, Kingston, for providing the HyperX memory here. So now let me open that case so that you can see what I mean by full-on custom. So what we have in this loop, we start with the H220 cooling system. We drive to first Radeon HD 7900, second Radeon HD 7900, dual 120 radiator, that's the MCR 220 QP, and then another dual 140 millimeter radiator, that's the MCR 240 QP. So with that pump, we're driving 3 radiators and 2 graphics cards in crossfire mode. So let's take a look at some of the temperatures that we get as an example in that full custom system. We are running here the Heaven benchmark, and we can see that these 7970s are running at about 51 degrees C, which at full load, which for all intents and purposes is very, very good. We can also look at the temperature, the processor temperatures, although under this benchmark the processor is not placed under any load except the first score. Okay, so what's important here is the graphics. But what's most important is the fact that the H220 cooling system, as delivered, can be used as a CPU-only system and can be fully expanded, just like a custom system would be, to drive multiple devices in the loop. And all this at either very, very silent operations, inaudible operations, or reasonably quiet in full at full speed at the cost of $139.95. I hope that you enjoyed this presentation, and sorry if I stumble on the words sometimes, but I'm not a video guy. Doc is the man for that. But thank you for the time and attention that you spent listening to this.
All right, folks, so there you have it. You guys have seen the demo. You've seen the product in action. You guys now know that the Swiftech H220 is beating the competition, and it's also very quiet as well. You get a 3-year warranty, so that means 3 years maintenance-free use of this Swiftech product, right, Gabe?
Perfect, absolutely.
All right, and one thing that's really cool about this, I want to press, is you guys can use this thing as a closed-loop system, no maintenance whatsoever, but if you want to add other parts to it, you can drain the system, reconnect it, refill it, and put whatever you want into this system, correct?
Yep.
So that's it, folks. This thing's coming to market at about $139, and we'll see you guys back here on Tech of Tomorrow for more tech.